Welcome back, everybody, to Macklin's Take Boxing Book Club on Macklin's Take YouTube channel. I'm Andy Clarke, and we are on to episode 4. So for this one, I thought I would do something that followed on from last week. So last week was Stranger Than Fiction, was what I ended up calling it, because it dealt with books and stories from boxing, of which there are plenty which you really wouldn't think you could even make up. But they are actually true, and they centred in those 3 books around Jack Dempsey's fight in Shelby, Montana, the sack of Shelby's Folly, the book was called, The Years of the Locust, about Rick Parker and Tim Anderson, and the other one was The Killings of Stanley Ketchel by James Carlos Blake. Kind of following on from that, I thought this week I would do some fiction, some boxing novels, because I do think that it's a much underrated genre. Probably because there are so many unbelievable tales and life stories in boxing that you wonder, do you really need fiction? But you do. There are some brilliant boxing novels, and I picked 3 out for today. So the first one is The Harder They Fall by Bud Schulberg. Bud Schulberg, of course, a huge boxing fan. On the waterfront, that's what most people know him for. Very influential screenwriter and author from back in the day. And what this does is it takes you on a really rollicking ride behind the scenes of pro boxing from a few decades ago. It goes into the back rooms, the smoky back rooms, where you would find shady, mysterious mafia figures, boxing insiders. It shines a light on the kinds of things that go on behind a fighter's career. Strong rumours that this is based around a certain 1930s heavyweight. More than strong rumours. See if you can guess who that is when you read it. I won't go into any more detail than that, because you just need to go on the journey and find out for yourself. But I loved this. Got through this in absolutely no time. It's one of those books. It really is. It's a proper page turner. So also, Fat City by Leonard Gardner. I think a lot of people would say that this is maybe top of the pile when it comes to boxing. When it comes to boxing novels, I would certainly put it up there. It's completely different to The Harder They Fall. This is a more kind of everyday story of boxing, small hall boxing. It gets inside the lives of some characters. It's just as much a human interest story as it is about boxing, and that can be true, can't it, for all sorts of boxing films that we've seen. It's not just about the fighting by any stretch. It's about the lives around the fighting and the impact that it has, and the lifestyles and all the rest of it. Just a very, very well written book. And last but certainly not least, The Professional by W.C. Hines. Now this is different again. This does go behind the scenes, but not in the same way as The Harder They Fall. This is very much more specific in that it looks into... It's a fly-on-the-wall account written by a journalist of life in camp for a fighter leading up to a big fight. Eddie Brown being the fictional fighter. It's so kind of rich in detail and contains so many accurate observations that you really do think that this is a real fight that's being built up to here, to the point where you kind of you find yourself really pulling for Eddie Brown. You really want Eddie Brown to win. But as I say, it is a novel, but different to the other two. So there's a good kind of selection there, I think, of different sorts of topics, but all really, really enjoyable. So as I say, this one, W.C. Hines, The Professional. Fat City by Leonard Gardner, and The Harder They Fall by Bud Schulberg. So yeah, if you feel so inclined, get your hands on one of these, all of these, couple of these, whatever takes your fancy, and keep your recommendations coming too. Keep the traffic coming on YouTube. I'm really enjoying that. It's always good to have a discussion with fellow fight fans about things they've enjoyed reading, because none of us have read it all. None of us have, and it's amazing what you can discover. And so we'll be back next week. I will be getting more authors on in the future. Just haven't quite had time to do it the last couple of weeks. I've been I've had a lot on, but I will be doing that again. It was good fun talking to John Dennon, and there's plenty of other people I can strong arm on. So in the meantime, have a good week, everybody.